I never envisioned myself ever standing before you, but the events on December 18th were a tipping point for me. I felt compelled to make this delegation. The first was the removal of parent and guardian from the board's lexicon, despite the Ministry of Education questioning the need for this. By removing the word parent, a subtle message is conveyed that they are being removed from participating in the WRDSB system. Secondly, I was shocked to see the director eating and drinking during a parent's delegation. This disrespectful action also subtly conveyed a message that her presentation had little or no value. Thirdly, a simple letter to the Ministry of Education requesting clarity on parental rights was voted down. A simple letter.
Excuse me, Ms. Scharlach.
Yes.
Your delegation says you're talking about regulations for attendees and responses to delegates.
That was part of it, and it was observations of the going on of the school board. It was observations. I printed that.
Let me just look at your delegation request, because that's not.
It was at the very first of my letter that was sent to Stephanie.
Just a moment.
My title was observation.
Just one moment. I'm just looking it up.
Okay, may I reclaim my time?
Oh, sorry, just one moment. It is paused.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to need you to stick to talking about regulations for attendees and responses based on the email exchange that you had with our manager of corporate services about what your delegation would be about this evening. Trustee Watson?
Here's the delegate talking about delegation.
Yes, the part
that she is on track of what she put down in her description.
Trustee, what?
Talking about delegation. I think, I'm sorry, like I do see her on track talking about regulations for attendees, which is her and anyone else who is in attendance, and responses to delegates. I think she's already on track.
Trustee Watson, the first and the last point that the delegate made was not, but the middle one was. So I'm going to ask that you stick to the middle point that you made, the second point you made in your listing. That was on delegation.
I'm so confused.
Unprecedented that delegate, and now she has only given us a few sentences, and you're already saying stay on track.
Trustee Watson, just a moment. The delegate listed what point she was going to talk about. She listed 3 points. The middle one was about delegations and attendees. The other two were not.
So I can choose. I'm allowed to speak on the first, but not on the second.
Item.
I'm really, you've got me.
You can speak to regulations for attendees and responses to delegates. That's the part of your delegation you may.
Would you allow me to finish? I am giving responses on delegates.
You may speak to the parts about delegates. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Trustee Piatowski.
The gallery needs to come to order so that we can hear from the delegate.
Thank you. I will ask the gallery to come to order so we can hear. Thank you. All right, speak about
okay.
Thank you.
As I drove home, many instances from past meetings percolated up, meetings where I passively sat and watched the board roll their eyes at delegations, scroll down on phones, and generally seem uninterested. I recall a parent requesting a book, Twins, a book with graphic descriptions of a father raping a young daughter be removed from the school library. So disturbing was this book that one trustee wanted him to stop reading citing violation of her human rights. Instead of thanking the father for bringing this to the board's attention, the board vilified the father for not reading the entire book, implying he had not done his due diligence. I recall a transgendered mother pleading the board recommending that parents be informed should their child consider transgendering. One trustee responded with, I have friends who don't think like you, totally disrespecting her position. This was bullying. I recall a music teacher pleading not to have her music program dismantled. This would mean that the program would be taught in segments by teachers with no musical training. She emphasized the importance of music in children's lives and that they would be losers should the program be dismantled. She was informed staffing decisions were already made. Yet, at the same meeting, we learned that 3 schools were being renamed so that our children could be safe going to these schools. How can a 3rd grader be traumatized attending A.R. Kaufman, but now feel safer attending Hillside Public School? How many thousands of dollars were spent on the name changes while hundreds of children were deprived of a full...
Scharlach,
Yes.
again, please stick to about the delegates, not previous decisions of the board. That is what your
This is the response.
delegation.
This
Point of
is the
order. Point of order. Just one second, Trustee Watson. Up until the point where you started talking about the decision of A.R. Kaufman, you were still on track for your delegate. I just asked that you stay on topic, okay?
Point of order.
Trustee Watson?
She is just using that as an example, and I think that we need to give some flexibility here because the whole point is responses to delegates. And in that, when she's describing responses to delegate, I think it is within her right to talk about a decision if it gives clarity. So I think we need to give some flexibility here and allow the delegate to finish so we can continue on.
I am giving some flexibility. What I am asking the delegate not to do is to get into commentary about previous decisions. You were on track up until you start talking about commentary. From the gallery, you will be removed if I hear you speak out again. Go ahead.
I recall a teacher who was silenced during her delegation for alerting the board that there were books in the library that were inappropriate. The rest is history. Now, we as taxpayers must foot the bill, which I've learned from reputable sources, is that the cost for this may come up to $200,000 to fight the judicial review, the anti-SLAPP, and the defamation suit. Appeals will probably cost more. Is this good stewardship of the taxpayers' money? Surely this huge sum of money could be better deflected to educational endeavors. Maybe, in retrospect, this teacher's delegation should have been heard in its entirety. Furthermore, I've observed that unless delegates align themselves with the majority of the trustees, the concerns and the requests of these delegates are dismissed. If, however, a delegate does align, they're thanked and a copy of a transcript is requested. No wonder so many parents are hesitant to approach the board. This is an extremely intimidating process.
The gallery will call it come to order.
When it comes to voting on controversial issues, we in the gallery joke about the outcome even before the vote is taken. 8-3, 8-3. This is a familiar result, but not a joking matter. Surely in such a group of intelligent, independent thinkers, there would be at least one who could be persuaded by the argument of the presenters and break out from voting with the club. Even attending these meetings can be off-putting when one is met at the entrance by a burly security guard and his colleague. Is this a subtle message that we are a possible danger to the board? Are you afraid that we, the caregivers, will steal a chair or storm the room? And why are 2 guards needed to police the gallery for whisperers? And why are the doors closed at 7:15? One delegate was refused admission on December 15th because she was late. Ticket holders to concerts and sports events are not refused entry for late arrival. We are ticket holders by virtue of paying taxes and should be allowed to approach when there's a pause in the procedures. Who made this decision to close the doors at 7:15? Where are the guidelines? Who determined that a number in the gallery should be only 30 when the room could accommodate more? Send me the documents from the fire marshal. Who decided to limit the gallery to 13 during the candidates' presentations to fill the vacant trustee positions? The notice on the hallway says 30. Why 13? Why were we herded into an overflow room and forced to watch the proceedings on CCTV? There was no overflow of observers. And I've heard now that there are up to 3,000 children being homeschooled. Why was an open house on alternate schools held January the 8th, attended by several hundred parents, or should I say caregivers, looking for answers and support? There are many, many who would like to withdraw their children from this system, but can't afford so. You're lucky. Finally, as a conserved taxpayer, my experience at this board has not been positive. I worry that our current educational system does not equip the generation, or this generation, to provide future leadership in the future. The board gives lip service to being open to all, but I have viewed the opposite. I have seen parents, teachers, and trustees being dismissed and bullied. How do we get your attention that there are thousands of parents who are worried about the curriculum that they see as harmful to their children? They do not want their 7-year-old questioning whether they are a boy or a girl. They don't want their children asked what their preferred pronouns are. They want more emphasis placed on academics rather than having the WIN sexual education program woven into all subjects, starting as early as kindergarten. Petitions will not work, as many parents are fearful, reluctant, fearful that reprisals will be taken against their children. Maybe the only recourse is to transfer our taxes from the public to the Catholic board. Think about it. Think about the implications from such a move. Maybe this will tell you how serious we think the situation is.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. If you appreciate the work that I do, please consider supporting me financially. I'm very happy to speak up for the protection of kids, and if you can't support financially, I would appreciate it if you help me overcome the censorship and just share these videos with other people so they know exactly what is happening. I left a link in the description to my Ko-fi account where you can do a one-time donation or a monthly subscription. Anything helps and your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you once again.